I love seeing somebody rock their sobriety and just being like, you know what? Rock their recovery. I want to go because I saw something the other day. There's a difference between recovery and sobriety.
Big difference.
And a lot of times that gets people think, well, I'm sober. Well, okay, which is a feat and a wonderful
that can be
thing.
A tremendous accomplishment.
Yep. But recovery is doing something with your sobriety.
It's a lifestyle. It's a total change in how you live your life.
And, you know, and we've said this before, anybody can do a diet. And a diet will work as long as you just do that thing.
White knuckle it. You can do it.
You know, I'm going on a cruise. I want to look good. I'm going to do a 15-day cleanse. I'm going to stay away from carbs. And for the first day on that ship, I'm going to look good.
You can do extreme things for short periods of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people attack their sobriety like that. And it works until it doesn't work.
Get you started, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, something like that.
But you really need to think of it as a lifestyle change. Diets will not work. They'll work for what they're intended to, but you will gain the weight back.
I mean, let's look at Oprah. You know, I mean, she's struggled with her weight, diet. She's gone down. She's gone up. She has all the resources in the world, right? More than anybody probably to keep her eating right and exercising. But that diet yo-yo has been tough for her, and it is for all of us, for sure.
So it's got to be a lifestyle change.
Well, and you know, sobriety can be, sobriety in many ways, I think, while I think it's healthier than being in addiction, of course, it can also be a really unpleasant, unhappy part of life. There may be reasons why a person utilized drugs and alcohol because their life is hard.
Well, there's a term for it. It's called a dry drunk.
Right.
And
so if
a
you're
dry drunk is just not using, but he hasn't addressed any of the issues that he was using
right.
the alcohol
So just kind
to
of
cope.
hanging on. He might have been hanging on through addiction. Now he's hanging on through sobriety. And granted, that's better than being in active addiction. But you're right. We call it dry because they're not happy. They're not progressing. You know, that it's not necessarily a progressive part of life. You may be still contemplating, I want to drink or I want to use because my life is still hard. Nothing's really improved except for that I'm sober.
Or you would be saying to yourself, my life would be so much better if I could just have a drink.
Right.
And I can't, so now I'm going to sit here on my couch. I'm going to yell at kids to get off my lawn, and life's just miserable.
I'm thinking I'm going to look into this, and if there isn't research on this, maybe I could talk to someone about doing a study. But if we could identify the difference between somebody who's sober versus somebody who's in recovery, and if we could differentiate those two, I wonder what the relapse rate is for those. I'll bet you, my theory would be that if you're just in sobriety, but you're not really in recovery, your relapse rate is much higher, risk of relapse, versus people who have shifted into recovery, meaning it's a new lifestyle, it's a new perspective. They feel like their life is progressing in a healthy manner, and sobriety is a subset of that, but they're doing a lot of other things like so many of our guests on the show. I'll bet that dramatically decreases relapse.